Disturbing statistics provided by the National Centre of
4
Education
out of 5 students
reveal
are not proficient
the
writers.
average fourth grader spends fewer than 3 hours per
Poor
week
writing cost employers $3.1 billion per year. Albert Einstein once said, "There is nothing that is a more certain sign of insanity than to do the same thing over and over and expect the results to be different." School systems around the world spend billions of dollars every year educating their future citizens. Even after 19 years of such education, a large number of people still lack confidence in the most fundamental skill necessary for success in life. This led the MindChamps team to investigate the role of the school system. What emerged was the realization that during their school years, students and their teachers before them had, for the most part, been given little or no grounding in the craft of writing. This was the gap. A gap which, unless addressed, would continue to widen well into their adult lives. It was clear that something had to change to address this gap, and so the MindChamps Reading and Writing program was born. It is a program based on extensive research that proved the gap needed to be fixed at its root in the early childhood years. Award-winning author Brian Caswell was called upon to help develop this unique program. A teacher, even an English teacher, is not necessarily a skilled author, and an author not necessarily an effective teacher. But Brian Caswell has excelled internationally in both these fields, giving him a very unique perspective on how to teach and facilitate the craft of writing. To demonstrate the effectiveness of the MindChamps writing approach, 4 well-respected professionals with diverse backgrounds, a doctor, a school principal, an English teacher and an architect, were asked to participate in a special presentation of the craft of writing. The objective was simple: to discover what effect the MindChamps writing program, a program which had been developed for K2 students onwards, would have on these seasoned professionals. This is their journey.
At that time, schools are really conventional. There was really nothing much on creative writing. A lot of was on memory, and we memorize essays for us to pass exams. So a lot was just on didactic learning.
Throughout the whole process, when I was in the primary school and secondary school, we never had a chance to do anything that's creative.
School for me was not a good fit. I was good on the sporting arena. I did very well in sports, but in terms of a structured approach to writing, no one really delivered that to me.
I spend most of my time thinking. I have not spent enough time communicating, and I think communication is so important. And I think I have a lot to say, but I'm not saying it very well. And therefore I think it's important that I learn how to say things in an effective way.
When we learned writing at school, there was quite a limitation on what we were actually taught. And that limitation carries through for the rest of our lives. What we're going to attempt to do in one day is to sort of open up a few ideas about the way that we think about writing and how that can then transfer into everything else that we do in our lives.
Throughout the day, the participants, guided by Brian, were introduced to the craft of writing. The buoyant mood turned into intense pressure as Brian put them into the shoes of a primary 6 student sitting for a composition writing exam. It is tempting, if the only tool you have is a hammer, to treat everything as if it were a nail. When we think back to our own school years, have we ever been taught effective tools of writing? The use of grammar, the grammar hammer if you like, was drilled into us, and there were really no other tools available to us. Over the course of the day, based on his decades of experience, Brian explains his development of not one, but 21 writing tools to add to their writer's toolbox. Tools designed to help unravel the mysteries of writing. Michael Jordan was a great basketball player, but his insight into mastering the fundamentals is just as relevant to the development of our writing skills as it is to a perfect jump shot. He wrote, "There is a right way and a wrong way to do everything. You can practice shooting 8 hours a day, but if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good at shooting the wrong way. Master the fundamentals, and the level of everything you do will rise." Illustrating the right techniques of writing, from time to time, Brian would break out of the teacher and students mode to explain the importance of these writing tools and their benefits for students and their composition writing exams.
Because you're marking the same thing every time. And when a kid comes up and does something just a little bit different, immediately their mark jumps. It's inevitable.
Brian constantly re-emphasizes the importance of the love for writing and how we can take an idea using the writing toolbox and transform the idea into a good piece of writing.
Unless our characters are real and their reactions are believable, then nothing in that story will work.
Brian's passion and experience as a professional writer comes to the fore as he demonstrates further writing tools to develop characters or how to plot a story from beginning to end. Of course, as part of this workshop, the participants, had to participate. Lots of creative interaction between themselves, and by the end of the day, reading their work out to the group.
So I can see that this style of learning is really important because reading and writing is really the basics for many of the careers later on in their life, and by introducing creativity and structure as well as good decision making, this will really make them into a very useful learning skills for them when they grow up into the future. Perhaps if this reading and writing program were introduced to me earlier in my life, I would think that I'll be able to publish better and write better so that I can be a better researcher.
Well, this has been an amazing experience for me. I find it so enriching, and I think that this whole program should be and must be in mainstream education in Singapore. So the craft of writing that we learn today is very important because it gives us the confidence to be able to write and express our ideas, and that's very important for our children when they grow up.
If I had the writing program that MindChamps is offering when I was at school, I think that I would have benefited greatly because there was this understanding that somehow you would gain it by osmosis, that somehow you would just learn the craft of writing. But that is not the case. So what I love about this program and what actually caught my attention about this program was that we are going back to developing a love of it, a love of writing, whilst at the same time getting all the other aspects that you need to become proficient in literacy.
Brian's emphasis on the narrative structure, that imagination without structure is useless. That's something I really believe, because when I teach architectural students, there's a lot of imagination, but it's not anchored in some kind of a systematic way of thinking and developing the ideas. It's just one big blaze, and all we are left with is ashes.
At the end of this workshop, it was clear from the participants' reactions that they had benefited greatly, that they had just been a part of a very profound experience, an experience where they had not only seen changes in their own writing, but in each other's writing as well. They had experienced a writing program initially designed for children, but in the end, age or chosen profession didn't matter. The importance of the craft of writing at any age could not and should not be underestimated. With programs such as these available to young people, the writing gap does not need to exist.